So Philippians 4:8 says to think on these things. Last night I went up to the prison. We had outreach, and one of the local ministers, his name is Mario, he had an opportunity to come with me and give a hand, so it was really good to have him out to help out. And also the Bibles finally came, and so I was able to take Bibles into the prison and pass out Bibles, and that was a good thing. They were hungry for Bibles, man. I took in 8 Bibles, and I didn't have enough, and so I told them I'd take some more back on Friday when I go back tomorrow morning. So anyway, I want to thank those who donated Bibles. I know Nikki, Kelly, Kathy, you guys all donated Bibles, and I'm telling you right now, they're going to a good cause. These people are hungry for the Word. We had a blast last night. As a matter of fact, we had about 5 new inmates came out last night, to include one young lady who was in there for a short period of time. And so we had a good time last night. So I asked the question, what does God think about you right now? For whatever reason, let's say you just dropped dead and you were standing before the Lord, what's the first thing that God would say to you? And I ask Christians that are confined and Christians that are outside the prison walls these questions, and their answers are very revealing and very telling. It's sad, because most Christians I know carry a lot of shame and guilt for things they've done or things they are doing, or misunderstandings about who God is. And so when I asked the question last night, just about everybody there said, well, if I was standing before the Lord right now, He would tell me, I'm so disappointed in you, or oh, I'm angry at you right now, or what were you thinking? You know, why were you so disobedient? If everything was negative, that's okay. Let me help you out just a little bit here. We got to talk about this, because let me tell you what God says about you. We read Jeremiah 29. I think it's verse 11, 12, and 13, and we read it in the NLT and in the Message translation, and it says, I know the plans I have for you. I have great plans for you. I have good plans for you, plans for your success. I have it all worked out. I'm working your issues out right now. I'm working out plans for you right now. Trust me, my plans for you are good. If you seek me with all of your heart, all of your mind, I'll turn things around for you. And when we read that, I put their names in it as I read it, and I directed right to them, and it was quite powerful for them to take that word and make it apply to their situation. I asked them, do we care what people think about us? And they were quite honest. They said, yeah, sure, you know, we care. And the people who say, I don't care what people think about me, the reason why they say that is because they're trying to create an image of them that you can think about them about. And so even those who say, I don't care what people think about me, they're the ones who are most guilty of really caring what people think. And to some degree, we are called to care what people think about us, because we're supposed to have credibility, we're supposed to have character, and people are supposed to look to us for answers and look to us for guidance. So you want people to care about you. You want people to care enough about you or know enough about you to come running to you for answers in prayer. As I asked the question, do you care what people think, I remembered something that happened to me years ago. I was in the 4th grade, so you're about 9 years old, and I remember I needed some shoes, and it was time to go get me some shoes, and my mom took me to the shoe store, and we're looking around for shoes, and at the time I was really into the Lone Ranger and Tonto. I mean, it was out, and I'd watch the Lone Ranger, and you know, he was the Kimosabi and Tonto and all their adventures, and man, I wanted to be an Indian. Oh, it was so cool to be an Indian, and Tonto was the bomb diggity. And so I was telling them that I saw these suede calf-high moccasins with the little frilly, lacy leather things hanging off the calves. And I said, oh, I gotta have those. Dad, I want those moccasins. And my mom looked at me, she said, are you sure you want the moccasins? I said, oh yeah, it's the moccasins. I'm all about adventure now, baby. And so Mom reluctantly brought me the moccasins, and I remember I couldn't wait to wear those things to school tomorrow. The very next day I get there, and I take my jeans and I tuck them inside my moccasins, and so they can be seen. And when I walk into the school, oh my goodness, they let me have it. All of my classmates just laughed at me and dogged me out all day long. Matter of fact, I was so embarrassed about it that I actually pulled my pants leg out from being tucked in the boots and the moccasins, and I tried to cover them up, and they just laughed, and I remember not wearing those things again. And so, moral of the story, did I care what people think? Yeah, here I am recounting a story some 40 years ago, and I can still recall how I felt at the time about what they said. They laughed and they joked, and they put this embarrassment and shame on me for these moccasins. And so, and they could all relate to that. They were all saying the same thing, like, oh yeah, I can relate to things like that. One guy said, yeah, same thing happened to me with my cowboy boots. And so yeah, we care what people think. And I told them we should care more what God thinks, but the problem is we don't know what God thinks. And when we do talk about what God thinks, oftentimes we think God is very negative about us. The key here to know is that God so loved you that He said you're worth the life of His Son. That's how valuable you are. That's how much He loves you. And so if we get a revelation of that, and if you understand that you're in Christ Jesus, when God looks at you, you have on the robe of righteousness of Christ, which means when God sees you, you're covered in Christ. You're not covered in your own efforts, your own works, your own strength and power. You're covered in the things that Christ did. And so God sees you, and God is pleased with you because you're in Christ, period. And that totally changes the way we approach God. Because if you have a negative perception about God and what He thinks towards you, you will hesitate to approach Him. Sort of like if you were in school and you got in trouble and you knew parents had been called and you dreaded going home, then you hesitated to go home because you know what was happening when you got before your daddy. Well, this is kind of the same way. If you think God is upset with you or angry with you, you hesitate to come into His presence because you know there's punishment or something coming. And so if you, whatever perception, whatever your perception is of God, that's how you will live your life before Him. If you have good thoughts towards God, you'll be glad to hang around Him. If you have bad thoughts towards God, you'll avoid Him. And all the young men and women there, they were just really receiving this, and we had a good time. One of the things I had them do, this is an exercise I do periodically, because my goal is to get people to experience God for themselves. And I know how to experience God. You experience God by humbling yourself and getting real with Him. And how do you humble yourself? You get honest with yourself. You dig down into you take time out to get rid of all the distractions, all the falsities and the pretenses, and you get real before God. And I had them do this. We did this exercise. I said, okay, everybody close your eyes. What's that one thing that plagues you? One thing that you're angry about? That one thing that betrayal, that hurt, that pain, that thing that's holding you back, that thing that's consuming you. You can't stop thinking about it. What is it? And as they closed their eyes and they meditated on this, I knew that they were getting it. And I had them open their eyes and said, now we're going to pray. And we're going to circle up, we're going to hold hands, we're going to pray, we're going to take turns, and we're going to pray, and we're going to get before the Lord. And if I hear you praying something that's like a formal prayer or routine or a religious prayer or it's mechanical, I'm going to ask you to stop and make it personal. And I started out the prayer, and I was just being honest with God in front of the people, just saying, God, there are things going on in my life right now that I'm afraid of. There are things that I just don't know about. God, I need to hear from you, Lord. Things that are going on, movements that are coming up. Father, I need your strength. I need your peace to guide me through this, Lord. Speak, Lord, because I know when you speak, I listen to your word. And so, one by one, we went around, and sure enough, every guy humbled himself before the Lord and just began to pray and just every one of them began to break down. Matter of fact, it was such an intense, powerful moment. Some of the guys were saying, God, please help me with my anger. God, please, I get angry at everybody, and I don't know why I'm so angry, and I'm tired of being so angry. And another guy was saying, God, help me not to make these same mistakes again. I know I've thrown it all away. God, I can't forgive myself, but I know I'm supposed to. Please help me to forgive myself, Lord, and to receive your forgiveness too. Another guy was saying, Lord, I'm going to get out soon. I feel like I've thrown it all away. I feel like I'm a huge failure, and I know you want to help me. And I mean, these guys were getting honest before the Lord and just really letting things out. And so what ends up happening is it gets around to the girl, and the girl, she starts praying. Oh my goodness, she just lost it. She was boo-hooing, she was crying, and she said, God, please help me. And she's crying. I mean, just snotting and crying, and she says, God, help me to forgive my husband. He's hurt me so bad, and I don't want to carry this pain and this bitterness towards him. I want my marriage to work, and Father, we're in trouble, and Lord, and then she just couldn't continue. She said, I can't go anymore. We had two guys who were just so emotional. They said, I'm not ready for this. I can't do this right now. What happened? Everyone who prayed, even those who didn't pray, they began to experience God, because I know God draws near to the brokenhearted. He draws near to the humble. And so these people were casting aside their pride and just getting honest before the Lord. We had a wonderful time last night. God showed up, and these people began to experience God. I told them, how far away is God from you? How far away is God from any of us? And they looked at me and they were wondering where I was going. I said, God is one thought away. He's only one thought away. And that one thought is that your soul, your heart, your mind, when it gets real before God, when you get real before God, He shows up. When you get real to the point where, Lord, no more pretense, no more facade. Lord, I need to hear from you. God shows up. God is always with your real hurting self. He's never with the fake self, the fake image that we put up. I'll talk about that some other time. We had a wonderful time. Thank you for your prayers. Please continue to pray for us, because there's some powerful things going up at the brig, at this prison. There's powerful things. And again, I put out the newsletters. You know what we have need of. So please consider donations and financial contributions to support these ministries. The Bibles go a long way. I know we're going to run out of them again real soon, because these people are just hungry for the Word. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your love. And think about these things. God bless you.